Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and with me, as always, is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome to all listeners to our midweek jaunt through riveting tales.
That was nice.
Thank you.
Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for thought.
Why don't we jump right into stories while I enjoy my morning kippy brew?
Oh, what brew are you going to enjoy today?
Blueberry tea.
Oh, blueberry tea is so delicious. Well, for any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story, am I the a-hole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is planning to propose? My 27 female best friend has been dating her boyfriend, 26 male, for over 5 years. A while back, he reached out to me to help figure out ring size and the setup so he could make this the most magical day of her life. Having known her for over 20 plus years, I know exactly how she wants her proposal to go and who she wants to be there, so I relayed all this information to him months ago via text and over the phone. I even took the time to covertly find and confirm which ring she would love the most. A little background, my friend is incredibly family and friend oriented, and in the past expressed to me on multiple occasions, especially during holiday season, that in the 5 years they've been together, he hasn't really made much of an effort to indoctrinate himself into her family or friendships the way she has for his. While I do generally like him, I have always felt that he is incredibly self-serving and self-focused. Recently, through a mutual friend, I found out he started a group text between his, emphasis on his, friends and his family to set up the time and date of the proposal. He has not only excluded myself, and according to the screenshots I've seen, he is doing everything verbatim I suggested he do, but he is completely excluding her family and other close friends from the event. He is planning on only having his quote-unquote boys and family present for the occasion, and knowing my friend, this would ultimately break her heart not being able to share this moment with her loved ones. I got heated and called him. At first, he was dodging my questions, then just outright said, "This is my proposal and I've spent enough time and money to choose how to do it. Just be happy for your friend. It's not like you're not coming to the wedding." This infuriated me. And to make matters worse, I ran into her mom and dad at the grocery store and subtly asked if they knew of any possibility she was getting engaged. They were unaware, and I know for a fact my friend has told him that he needs to ask her parents for their blessing. She's somewhat traditional. My friend wears her heart on her sleeve, and I can predict how this event will go down when she sees all of his close friends and family and none of hers. Considering her previous sentiments about his lack of interest in her family/life, she will 100% see this as being hurtful and selfish, and I know she'll cry. To make matters worse, the location of the proposal is a whopping 30 minutes from her parents' home. I don't want to get involved in a fight or reveal the surprise, but on the other hand, I feel I owe it to my lifelong friend to help her avoid being hurt and disappointed, maybe even helping her rethink what her future would look like with someone who just doesn't really appreciate what she values in life. So, am I the a-hole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is going to propose? Edit. I did not tell her parents. I covertly inquired if he had spoken to them yet about proposing since it's been 5 years, like in a joking way. Would I be the a-hole?
All right. You always start strong. So,
I come into this blazing.
yeah, you're ready. It sounds like the OP loves her friend a lot. She's asking if she would be the a-hole if she told her friend.
Correct.
In my mind, she would definitely be the a-hole. If that's the only thing she's asking, then I have to go based off of that parameter. And it's, if you told your friend that her fiancé was about to, well, her boyfriend was of 5 years is about to propose to her, you've ruined the proposal and the surprise. Yes, she would be the a-hole for ruining that, in my mind.
Well, all of Reddit also says she would be the a-hole.
Okay.
And the commenter created another edit in her post, and it says, "The proposal is scheduled for this weekend. I will give you guys an update on how it goes. After so many responses, I have decided not to say anything and let things play out. I gave him an opportunity by expressing the need to invite her parents and friends like she always wanted, and he chose not to. That's on him, not me."
Okay, that's very responsible and adult of her. I'm scared to hear what you're going to tell me now.
So there is an update on what happened.
You have a smile on your face.
I've got a very big smile on my face. So the update goes, to everyone who told me to keep my mouth shut, thank you. So on Saturday, the day of the proposal, I got a call from her boyfriend. He was screaming at me, blaming me for not showing up, uninvited still, to the proposal with her parents because she was upset they weren't there. I was freaking slack-jawed. I told him I knew this would happen, and he says verbatim, you just admitted you knew this would happen. So if you knew the whole time and you actually cared about her, you would have invited them. I was gobsmacked and hung up on him. Not even an hour later, I get a call from her asking me to come to her parents. According to her, this is how the situation played out. He popped the question. She said yes, and the people he invited popped out from hiding. She was bombarded by 4 of his guy friends, his mom, dad, older brother, and his sister-in-law. His parents were holding a sign that read, "Welcome to the family, Mrs. Insert his last name here." And this is where things go downhill. I did not know this before, and I thought I knew everything, but my friend doesn't want to change her last name, and she's told him that repeatedly since they got together. She's an only child with a Ukrainian family, and with everything going on with the Ukraine in the last year, she's doubled down. When she saw the sign, she joked, "Mrs. his last name? I think you mean Mrs. her last name." Everyone went silent until his mom said, "Well, the ring is already engraved, no changing it now." She takes the ring off and sees Mrs. his last name engraved on the band. Then she asked if her parents were coming. He gave every excuse. He didn't have their number, there were too many people there, he wanted to keep it private, and eventually said, "This was my proposal to you, and now my family is your family. We can just send your parents the pictures later." She took the ring off and left. That's when I'm assuming I got the call from him. She went straight to her parents. She asked them about the engagement. They were clueless. She then asked if I knew anything. I asked if she was in the right place, and she said she was. So I told her I would answer any question she had rather than dumping everything on her. She was upset, but thanked me. She was furious when I told her about the call from him earlier and said, "Does he really think I'm that shallow?" She said it wasn't about having a perfect proposal or her parents being there. It was about him making the whole thing about himself as always, and she was done feeling ignored and belittled. So this was her breaking point. She's staying with her parents currently and has been receiving texts from him. The worst one so far is him telling her she has to pay him back for the ring and for ruining his life. Right now, all I can do is be here for her, and whatever decision she makes, I will fully support because, as you've all helped me realize, this isn't about me. It's about her. Not my monkey, not my circus. Edit. She gave him the ring back when she took it off. I didn't include that because I was at the 3,000 character limit already. Edit 2 update. I did not mention this plan when I originally posted this in case her ex found this thread, but I can report now that we got the heads up last night that he wasn't at their apartment. So we ran over and got most of her stuff out, at least all the really important stuff. To those asking, no, she isn't going back to him. It's over.
That was an update.
It sounds like her friend really did know what she would do.
Knew exactly what she would. Well, it's not even, it goes beyond that though. It already sounded like the relationship was already very strained and one-sided.
Unfortunately, when you're selfish in a relationship, it will break it.
Especially if she has the type of relationship she does with her family and friends. But yeah, it sounds like she ended up avoiding something that was going to be a mistake anyway, because it sounds like he didn't handle this very graciously either.
I think the thing that shocked me was the fact that she told him, "I'm not changing my last name."
That, and he still goes beyond. He
not only had it to where his family was holding up the sign, but it's engraved in the ring.
That is some secondhand cringe, and I would have loved to have seen that whole thing go down, because could you imagine? She takes it off and there it is, but he knows that she doesn't want to take on his last name.
I think what he was hoping was the fact,
the peer pressure.
Yeah, was the fact that she was in front of all of his friends and family, and he did this big thing for her, that it also being engraved in the ring that she's accepting, that she won't say no.
Yeah. And then the mother, well, it's already there.
I mean, you fell on the sword, my friend. So, on to our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin that his girlfriend's needs aren't as important as my daughter's? My daughter is autistic and has a support dog. He's an Anatolian Shepherd, so a big scary dog. He was initially supposed to be a livestock guardian for my dad, but when I took my daughter to meet him, they kind of bonded. We ended up with him a few weeks later due to him being generally bad at his job. And now he works to support my daughter, and she absolutely loves him. This is all to say we have a very big dog who looks very mean sometimes. He's sweet as anything though. My cousin's girlfriend is terrified of dogs. The first time she saw him, she refused to come in the house. We have a pretty big house, so family meals are usually held at mine. This is obviously posing an issue as his girlfriend won't come into my house because of the dog. We have crated him for very short periods so she could come in, but she's clearly very uncomfortable, and my daughter gets very nervous around new people without him present. I've explained that there isn't any compromise to make. My cousin is quite annoyed, asking why we couldn't just leave the dog home and eat elsewhere. Honestly, I wouldn't mind, as I could just leave my daughter with her mom, but no one else wants to cook. LOL. In my opinion, if he wants to reinforce family bonding so much, he should offer to cook. Anyway, it's a serious issue right now and causing arguments within the family. It all came to a head last night when they dropped off my dad. He's staying for Christmas. Anyway, my cousin started yelling, asked me why I hated his girlfriend so much and couldn't accommodate her. I told him his girlfriend's fears weren't as important to me as my daughter's comfort. My dad ended up cooling it down and essentially called me an a-hole. She can't control her fears and all that. So am I the a-hole? I feel a little bad, but my daughter feeling comfort is more important to me.
So it sounds like the OP's being a good dad, right? We'll start with that. The cousin's girlfriend is uncomfortable with dogs. They happen to have a nice, big, scary looking dog who is the daughter's support animal.
Correct.
Now, they have big family dinners at the OP's house because they're the only ones that
have a big house.
That will cook.
And cook, yes.
Okay. Because that's what he makes very clear is he loved to just leave the dog and
daughter with the
daughter,
mom
yeah, to go have these meals with the family.
Yeah, and he's
That's
all like,
fine.
I'll go out.
But none of y'all want to cook. So then you're like, okay, well, that puts the ball in their court because he'd be more than happy with doing that, right? So in my mind, it makes his daughter feel more secure around people. It's his home. I don't see him being the a-hole. Like maybe he could have said it a little better because I also understand too, people's fears are their fears. Obviously, the cousin's girlfriend not being comfortable around dogs, that sucks, but you're an adult, and if the dog gets crated and the OP's taking steps to try to at least accommodate your girlfriend, I don't see him as being the a-hole here. Keep your dog around. It helps your daughter.
So, all of Reddit also says he is not the a-hole. In fact, there's one commenter that puts everything into a nice little perspective for us. So let me go ahead and read it.
Is it a song?
No. That was embarrassing. Not the a-hole. Imagine coming into your home, eating your food, and expecting you to get rid of the dog that calms your daughter. Funny how they can all complain, but none offer to open their home and bank account to change the house. Ask him and your dad why they both hate your daughter, since they both like to open their entitled mouth to spew ridiculousness. The sheer audacity.
The sheer audacity. I like that comment.
Right?
Yeah, no, I'm 100% behind that. Volunteer to cook.
So I feel like we're on a roll with this family drama. So for our next story, am I the a-hole for not taking my son to his favorite restaurant for his birthday since his mom fed him right before I picked him up? My kid is very book smart. However, sometimes he doesn't really make good decisions, so his mom and I help him out. My ex has custody of him, and I get to see him whenever he has time, usually every weekend. I had been saving up money to take him out for dinner at a steakhouse he loves. This isn't something we can do all the time. Unlike so many people in the sub, I'm not a millionaire tech guy, and I have never received an inheritance. For me, spending this much money for a meal is a sacrifice, but he is worth it. I had spoken with his mom, so she knew the plan. I had spoken with him, and he was excited about going there for his birthday. I went to pick him up at his mom's and stepdad's house. When I got there, I went in because we're all friendly that way. He was finishing 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and a bowl of tomato soup. I asked why he was eating since he knew we had a reservation for dinner. He said he was hungry, so his mom made him food. After we left, I asked him if he was still hungry, and he said he was stuffed. So I called the restaurant and canceled the reservation. We went to see a movie instead. He has room for soda and popcorn. When I took him home, his mom asked how dinner was, and I told her we changed plans. Now she is upset with me because I didn't follow through on taking him out like I said I would. I think I made the right decision. Am I the a-hole?
I guess we'll start with, he already explains that he doesn't have a whole lot of money, but he does say that he put away the money so that way he could enjoy this with his son on his birthday. Comes to the house to go and pick up his son. His son's already enjoying 2 grilled cheese and some soup, tomato soup.
Correct.
They're heading out. They're going to the restaurant, and his son says, "I'm stuffed." Why then would you take him? Yes, I understand that that's the place like he really likes, but why as the mother would you have fed him if you knew that the plans were that he was going to go eat dinner in a little bit?
You fed him a entire meal, 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup before he goes out to a place.
You have the audacity to be upset with the dad making a rational decision. You take him to the thing and he eats nothing. Steakhouses are expensive, right? So, I mean, yes, he budgeted the money correctly, but why waste the money there? Like, hey, he takes him to a movie and they have popcorn and soda. I bet his kid didn't care all that much about missing out on a steakhouse.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. He's a kid.
No, OP, you're not the a-hole. You made a rational decision. Your ex-wife being upset that you are being smart is a little ridiculous, but that's how I feel.
So, all of Reddit also says he's not the a-hole. In fact, one commenter asked a very interesting question. They said, so right before he's going to go out to eat dinner, she's feeding him. It sounds like she filled him up so that he would bring home the food from the steakhouse so she could enjoy it instead.
What is this 5D chess people keep playing that I'm not a part of? What?
It does put it into an interesting perspective. Maybe the steakhouse was honestly her preference and not her son's.
Wow, let's reshoot this so I have that.
Too late.
That's funny.
I still feel like we're having fun with family matters.
Oh, no.
So let's come to another. For our next story, would I be the a-hole for not going on a family vacation because my brother wants to bring his dog? Pre-COVID, I, 33 male, would go on family vacations with my family, my parents, late 50s, brother, 27, and sister, 29. These occurred about every other year. For a multitude of reasons, we haven't done a trip since 2018. I am married and we have an 18-month-old. My sister has a boyfriend and my brother has some sort of terrier and no girlfriend I know of. My brother has morphed into a self-described dog dad and based off social media seems to rarely do things without the dog. We live in the same city but different areas and we don't see him all that much. The few times I've been around his dog, it behaves fine. It's too friendly for me and I can't speak to how it behaves over multiple days or around babies. My parents have a Verbo beach house in Florida booked. In a few weeks, the deadline for a full refund for canceling is coming up and my parents need to know if we are in. We live in the west side of the USA, so we'd be flying. I found out my brother plans to bring his dog. My parents aren't thrilled about it, but it is what it is. Those are my parents' words. I'm not a dog person. I despise them on planes. I do not want to travel with the dog. Tentatively, we are on the same flight. I do not want to stay the week in the same house as the dog. I do not want activities based on being dog friendly, and I do not want the dog around my son. Our parents want to stay out of it and have us hash it out. I broached the topic with my brother. Essentially, he isn't flexible on the dog. It is his family, and it is the family vacation. He says my 18-month-old will be far more annoying and loud than his dog. He seems firm on this, and I'm ready to pull out of the trip. If I don't go, the trip may fall apart. Would I be the a-hole?
Okay. So this one seems very straightforward to me, but we'll see.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah. All right. So the OP has a brother who is a dog dad, self-described.
Correct.
All right. So this is a type of person that will do everything and anything with the animal, including trips.
Correct.
That's fine. You can live the way you want. It sounds like the OP's parents are being accepting and accommodating of it, or at least they say they're staying out of it, and it is what it is. Correct. I love that there's no support from them, so it's almost like they're pinning the brothers and going, look, I even though they themselves don't really care for the dog and would wish that the brother would have kept it back home, right? At least from my understanding. I'm going to have to say that the OP not wanting to go on the family vacation because they don't want to be in a home with an animal that they don't particularly want to be with for an entire week isn't a bad thing. They know what they want. They have an 18-month-year-old child, so I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to spend your vacation, you should be doing it the way you want and not have to worry about like someone else's animal being a part of it if you don't want them to be. I guess I'm going to say that the OP is not the a-hole.
All right. So Reddit says the OP is actually the a-hole. However, it was very split when I was looking at the comments. Some people said not the a-hole. Some people said he was the a-hole. Okay. However, when it comes to some of the details that he provided us with, he is the a-hole. And I will read one very top commenter here.
Okay.
I'm talking 44,000 people agreed with this comment. Ooh. You, the a-hole. It's a small dog, and you said it was well behaved. It's fair to ask the dog be kept away from the baby. A baby is a far more inconvenience than a dog. You can leave a dog home alone for a few hours if people want to eat at a nice restaurant. It's rude to bring a baby to a nice restaurant. They have bedtimes and they scream at movies. Kids are awesome, but you're on a different planet if you think the vacation is going to revolve around the dog. It's going to revolve around your baby.
Okay, I can see that. All right.
A lot of Reddit commenters were saying, in the end, it's his choice to pull out.
Sure.
But based on his reasons, because he feels like a dog would inconvenience the whole trip. In actuality, his 18-month-old would be more to inconvenience the trip than that little terrier dog would.
I can get what they're saying if you really are going to compare what a baby would do based off of a dog. What a dog would do.
But in the end, as everybody's pointed out, he might be the a-hole in this situation, but it's still his choice.
Yeah, sure.
Now let us continue on to our next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband to go to his stepbrother's fiance's funeral? Throwaway account because husband knows my main. I'll get to the point. I'm 30, currently 36 weeks pregnant. It's been an okay pregnancy so far, but one thing I can't stand is traveling. Makes me nauseous. And flying is a big no since how far along I am. My husband's 32, stepbrother's fiance passed away, and the funeral is next week. It's in another state, and he would have to fly out. As I mentioned, flying is something I can't do physically, so I unfortunately won't be able to go. My husband wants to go by himself, but I want him to stay with me in case anything happens, God forbid, but also for support just in case. Next week when the funeral happens, he is staying there for another week with his stepbrother. My husband said because he needs to be there for him. I suggested he video call with his stepbrother to be there for him, but he said he needs to be there, and I'm being unsupportive of him. We've gotten into an argument over this, and he's been pissed off at me since, but I don't know if I really am being unsupportive of my husband. Am I the a-hole?
This the stepbrother unfortunately had his fiance pass away.
Correct.
And that really sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. And the brother, the OP's husband, is trying to be a good brother. Regardless of stepbrother, brother, I'm just going to call him brother because at that point you're just a brother, or at least you should be. The brother sounds like he's trying to be a shoulder to lean on in this time. I can't imagine that being very easy for anyone. The OP's husband wants to go out to the funeral and then stay a week after the funeral.
Correct.
To be support. And the OP doesn't want that to happen because she's worried about any complications with the pregnancy.
Correct. She's 36 weeks. And just to let you know, a pregnancy term max is 40.
Okay, so she's within that red zone of something.
Correct. Anything can happen.
Okay. So, I mean, she's justified in having the feelings, obviously. If we're in the anything can happen mode, that's a tough situation because I understand that the brother's just trying to be a good brother and he just lost his fiance. It's unfortunate because she can't travel. GLP says she gets very ill.
Correct.
Man, this one's tough. I think she might be the a-hole because he's trying to comfort his brother in the time of his fiance passing and maybe working out a way where it's not a full week to make her feel comfortable. Maybe if he flew out for like a day or two to the funeral and then maybe a day or two after, then come back. If they're really in that zone, if she's scared that anything can happen in this time period.
So all of Reddit says she's not the a-hole.
Okay.
They say that he can still support his brother. He doesn't need to do it physically there, where she would need him physically there for that support. And yes, unfortunately, unfortunately, a lot of things could lead to complications, which could endanger the life of the poster and the unborn
Sure.
baby. So I guess the whole problem here is that she can't control when potentially she could give birth. And because of that unknown variable, it would, I guess, seem more understanding if she would be worried for her husband not being there.
Sure, I can understand how that stress could spike, and now she's on her own for a week, especially during that time period. That one's a tough one, because I'm like, well, the stepbrother could feel a certain way about his brother not coming in and supporting him. Or after the
funeral, they could have him come over to
and that's
them.
True.
And
that could be, he could still be helping his brother get through the grief and all of the problems.
Well, for our last story, we're going to still stick with family problems. Am I the a-hole for choosing to go on a trip with my girlfriend instead of taking care of my struggling brother's son? For context, my 24 male brother, Luke, 31 male, his wife, Emma, 28 female, and their son, Kyle, 4 male, moved to my city last year because Emma got a new job. They would occasionally ask me to watch Kyle because I work from home with very flexible hours. I personally do not like kids at all, but I was happy to do it at the time because I wanted to help them. It was not that often, maybe once or twice every 2 weeks. And Kyle was very well behaved. Now, the issue started near the end of last year when Luke decided to change careers. He was previously working remotely as well. His new job required him to go to work a lot more often and make substantially less money. This left them depending on me more and more to take care of Kyle. It went from once or twice every 2 weeks to around 3 days out of the week. To make matters worse, Kyle's behavior changed drastically. To be completely honest, I can barely stand the kid anymore, constantly running around and screaming while I'm trying to work and just overall being a little My sister-in-law Emma was over the other day picking up Kyle and made some comments about getting rid of some of the dangerous furniture in my house, like tables with glass edges and stuff, so that my home is safer for their son, and made a joke about baby-proofing my house because they're planning to have a daughter. This pissed me off, but I didn't say anything. The situation hit a breaking point last Friday when I was talking about the 1.5 week long trip I was going on with my girlfriend on the 15th. Me and my girlfriend like to travel somewhere nice at least once a month. We could not the past couple months because of Kyle, but I promised my girlfriend we would go somewhere exotic for Valentine's. Upon hearing this, they got pretty mad, saying who was going to take care of Kyle, that I need to stop these childish trips, and that I need to take more responsibility because I'm an uncle now. I'm not going to lie. After hearing this, I freaking snapped. I said that their demon child isn't my responsibility, and I'm not just gonna give up my life because they screwed without a condom. It got pretty obscene from there, and some horrible things were said. They left, and we are no longer on speaking terms. My parents and Emma's parents are on their side and extremely angry at me for refusing to pull my weight. My parents said that this is my duty and I should be sacrificing everything to help them. It's honestly got me really down, and I've cried my eyes pretty much every day since seeing those messages from my family. I'm starting to wonder if I really should be taking more responsibility. Am I the a-hole for choosing my trips over my brother and nephew?
Wow, I take back the spicy meatball a couple stories ago. This one is the spicy meatball.
Is it the super?
The super spicy meatball. This is a terrible story. Okay, so I don't really need clarification on this. I am so sorry for you, OP. I'm going to start this. You are not the a-hole. Your family is terrible. You're right. You are not responsible for the demon spawn that comes out of them. Hey, it's a kid. I understand all kids are the same. And if you don't have a kid, all kids are demon spawn. Like, I get it though. It's not bad. It's just, that's not your lifestyle. You're not ready for that, but it shouldn't be on your burden. He was being a good uncle already. He was watching him twice a month, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. And then it sped up to 3 times a week when it's not your child. And I doubt any form of compensation was happening based off of what I was hearing was that they're struggling. They're making less money now. He's working more. So not more money's coming in, right? That's not what I heard.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that no money is being transferred here for him having to watch their child.
Correct.
My frustration is building.
I hear it.
I'm choosing violence. Your brother and his wife suck. That's what I heard in this story. I feel bad for you. Please, I'm sorry that you cried over the turmoil this has caused in your life. You shouldn't have to give up your life because someone else's choices. They can go pay for a sitter, put their kid in daycare. They can figure it out. They're 2 grown adults with jobs. It shouldn't be on you to hoist their life up. Please, I hope that you took your trip and you didn't let this derail you. Maybe it worked out for the best. Hopefully your brother and you can come back to the table down the road. Stick by what you went with. It was their choice to make those decisions, to have the kid. They can figure out how to deal with daycare and all the other problems. But yeah, I'm sorry that you felt the way you do, but you were right in what happened.
So, all of Reddit also says he's not the a-hole. In fact, there's a commenter on here that I'd like to go ahead and read what they say because it's pretty interesting. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your and Emma's parents need to start doing their duty and watching their grandchild. If they're not willing to do that, all their huffing and puffing that you need to watch Kyle is just hot air. This is not your child, and you have no weight to pull. This just reeks of trying to gang up on you because you're the youngest and you're nice and they think you're going to cave. Stay strong and keep your boundaries.
Yep.
Now, we actually have an update on this story.
All right.
Get 2 updates in one. Thank you everyone for the comments. After reading through for about an hour, it kind of helped me realize how toxic my relationship with my family is. As many of you mentioned, yes, my brother is the golden child of the family. And thinking about it now, that favoritism is the main reason I wanted to move away from them so badly in the first place. I had a talk with my brother and my sister-in-law where I apologized for calling their child a demon and for the condom remark. They accepted my apology, but they did not apologize to me. Apparently, ours and my sister-in-law's parents were not just telling them, but encouraging them to use me for help the whole time. I told them how exhausted and frustrated I was and how much this whole show has hurt me and that I would not be watching Kyle anymore, period, and that they need to figure something else out. They did not take it well, and my sister-in-law started yelling again, and after some arguing, my sister-in-law said that if I would not watch Kyle, the least I could do is pay for his daycare and help with some of our other expenses since I have the money to zip off to a different country every month. I was honestly appalled. I would not have minded to help them out financially, but the tone of her voice as she said it was just infuriating. The only thing they heard was that I would not continue helping them. They didn't give a shit about anything else I said. I just got up and left their house without saying a word. I wanted to leave before I completely exploded again. 10 minutes after I left, my phone started buzzing with them and my parents, and I just put it on Do Not Disturb. I read a lot of comments saying I should go no contact, and I really did not want to have to do that, but they are very clearly not interested in respecting me as a human being, so that's it. I will not be speaking to my family until they want to genuinely apologize to me. Thanks, guys.
Wow, I am shook from this story.
They say you can't choose your family, but we can make a new one with Reddit commenters who definitely give us good advice.
My God, that is so bad. Was that the last story?
Yeah, I said
that is a terrible story. All right.
It might be a terrible story, but it ended off well. He put down his boundaries.
I'm happy for him, but I'm shocked at the level that the family.
Yeah, they are not
for her
nice
to have
people.
The nuts,
the gall to say pay for the day.
You pay for our child's care and for some of the bills we have in this house. Are you high? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Where's Nolan?
It makes it
because that's more rational than this. Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We will be regularly posting on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
We would love to hear your thoughts on the stories today in the comments below. And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.